Okay, you plug in. Listen. Oh, we're live, but take your time. Welcome, America. It's the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin. Presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel. You're never going to believe this, but I'm America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan, and I own Offensively Creative. That is Rod. He is the PEO god, and he owns Dinsmore Steel. And then we have Robin. He's the thriller in and from Manila. And today, very special guest, Fabian. Help me out with the last name because we didn't talk about this in the green room.
Schonholz.
Yeah, Shane. Well, welcome to the show.
Welcome my friend.
Thank you.
Look at the beautiful background. You're in an office somewhere, and this is generated, right? You're not actually out having.
He's actually flying in the air right now.
It does kind of look very aerial.
It looks like when I first saw this, I was like, "This guy's in a plane."
He's living the life, man. Look at
that.
that.
I was like, that looks like a plane arm, like a Cessna arm.
Yeah. Well,
is this in America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in California. I'm in a little
Everyone
bit
in
south of
America
Mama.
has a plane, Robin.
Everyone in America, everyone in California has a plane. I don't know if you know that.
As soon as you get here, you get a plane.
Fabian, Robin's in the Philippines. He's
offer.
never been to the United States. So we have a lot of this show is teaching him about our cultures and how everyone has gone in the plane.
And I get more depressed after each show.
He came into this thinking America was the land
It's a rad place.
And,
He goes outside and kisses the ground.
Never leave Manila. Okay, I want to get into Fabian because Fabian is a Renaissance man. Once again,
Yes.
I'm doing this thing every night. I do a deep dive into the guests, and I'm not just saying this, but you were fucking fascinating. And you were even more fascinating in the green room because you have a story about how a tick. Robin, remember the story about ticks making people allergic to red meat?
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought it was a hoax.
I thought it was
No. It's real.
Here's the question, though: Is his background as interesting as yesterday's show?
no one could possibly.
I'm messing with you.
All right, Tuesday's a new day. Okay, so Fabian, part of this show, the structure is we go over the news and then we get into you. Also, this is a gimmick I like to do to bridge the gap between this banter and the news. Is every day here in the United States is some sort of reason to celebrate, some sort of national day. And today was a bottom of the barrel pick, and I apologize for that. Today is National Talk Like a Pirate Day. Now, we're not going to talk like a pirate because that's stupid. Yeah.
Timber me timbers.
Okay,
It just sounds Scottish.
John Silvers.
Okay, you be the pirate. But this is what I was thinking. I was like, Talk Like a Pirate Day. There were not audio recording devices when pirates were around. So then I got to thinking, why do pirates talk this way? Yeah, I did a deep dive. You know why? I'll tell you why. And this is the reason. Disney's Treasure Island in 1950. This guy played Long John Silver. His name is Robert Newton. His normal voice was that R thing. He did it in this movie, and then every movie moving forward, that's how pirates work. You know? So when life gives you lemons, you do a little research and make some pirate aid.
Can I make a statement?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you cleared this up because the last pirate that I saw spoke like this. I'm the captain now.
Yeah, the Somali pirates, I don't know how
he didn't sound nothing like this gentleman. Nothing like him. There was no R or wooden legs or any of that stuff.
They have a slightly different dialect than
he was very to the point.
Yeah, right. No, times have changed, but I'm just for it's like Dave Chappelle's definition of greatness. Do you know what it is? He says, if you're great,
this show.
Well, kind of. So Chappelle's definition of greatness is everything before you is irrelevant and everything after you bears your mark. And I think that's this guy, except for in Somalia. You know?
And this show.
In this show. Everything after this show is going to bear our likeness. All right, Fabian, you ready for some news? It's a big news day, big banner day in the United States. A lot of things going on. Actually, this is a light news day. But
is there any shootings?
It is.
There's no.
It was hard to pick him out.
No shootings today. We're going to have to talk about
from all the shootings.
Yeah, we're doing a break from the violence. All right, Robin, what do we got?
First one's kind of mild. So I've always wondered about French fries and fast food, and why they're always like miles better than anything I've made at home. I've come to realize it's always like in the oils and the fats that they're using. So usually when I'm eating fries, I don't necessarily think about it being healthy. I kind of know, and it's kind of the point of eating French fries. You know, it's bad for you, which makes it great. Anyways, so Shake Shack, they're taking the wrong spin on it. They want to go like healthy fries, sustainable oil. I don't really think we want this.
Yeah, so we've moved. Shake Shack is moving away from soybean oil, which is evidently bad. They're moving to sugarcane oil. Sugarcane oil requires less land, less water, less emissions, and it's more sustainable. However, there's going to be problems because in 2013, Shake Shack went away from frozen French fries to real French fries in the United States revolted. I don't know if you remember the Great Shake Shack War of 2013, but we all lost our fucking minds. My overarching
People
question.
love Shake Shack.
People do love Shake Shack. Fabian,
I love Shake Shack too.
I've never been. Fabian, have you been to a Shake Shack?
No.
It's the best way in the world to spend $15 on this.
But do you know that McDonald's used to use coconut oil?
Coconut oil?
Coconut oil, and which is really bad for you. But that is what made McDonald's fries like the best fries ever.
Yeah.
So when they switch over to vegetable oil, which is supposed to be better for you, like whatever, I think they're using canola or whatever, they actually have to put something on the fries to make them taste the way they used to taste.
That makes sense because I don't think McDonald's fries are very good. I think they taste like shit. I think they're worse. And I think before coconut oil, I listened to this podcast. They used to use beef tallow, and that was really bad. So they melt down beef fat and then cook the French fries. That's probably the golden age. And then they moved to coconut oil. It tastes like shit. Vegetable oil.
But I feel like big companies always make the same mistakes over and over again. Why keep changing things that are already working?
To save money, Robin.
Oh yeah, to save money. I think that has something to do with it. Also, now that we have
the coconut oil thing was an FDA thing.
Oh,
that makes sense.
That does make sense. Here's
Shake
my
Shack's expensive. Can I just say that it's expensive?
You said this would be $15 right here.
Yeah, that would be $15. And if you they give away free water. No, I mean they'll give you a cup for free water, but everyone just steals the drinks. But it takes a while to get your food. And it's like an assembly line there. And the French fries, in my opinion, are not that great because they're like the ones my mom used to make when it was Manwich night.
The crinkle cut fries.
Yeah,
I am so glad that you brought this up because as far as fries go, I don't know that the crinkle cut is the best fry. So I have this. Somebody did it.
Oh wow!
Smart.
I think this is the 15. I don't know. It's hard to read on the screen. These are the 18 best fry cuts in order. I totally disagree with number one. I don't think waffle fries are the best fries. But I do agree that.
What's your favorite here? If you were hold on a second, time out. If you were opening a joint tomorrow that serves this whatever in fries, which of these fries are you going with to put on the menu?
I think this
sweet potato fries and nothing else.
I fucking love sweet potato fries. You're so right.
That's a good idea.
I would have to go with top three because I don't know that I can only serve sweet potato fries, but I want to. So I'm going to go sweet potato fries, the garlic fries, as long as there's like Parmesan. I think a Parmesan garlic fry is delightful. And I'm going to go white trashy, and tater tots. What about you?
13 all the way.
13?
Yeah.
Potato wedges?
Because one potato is a sack, right? No one's going to complain if they're going to be like, I only got 4 fries. You got a potato. Get out of here.
A potato wedge is an aggressive French fry. There's a lot.
Yeah, but you just literally take a potato, cut it in 4s. Get out of here.
Yeah. I think chili cheese fries too much.
I'm surprised no one else said curly fries. Or is that just like a Gen Z taste? I love curly fries.
I know that you people love curly fries. It's weird to me. Oh, you know what? Rob is so right. Truffle fries are unfucking.
Yeah, truffle fries are good. Where are they at? I didn't even see them.
No,
they on here?
This is in like Smiley. Like you're including Smiley.
Send this back.
I know. The potato tornado. You can only get those at like fairs, county fairs, where the carnies are.
Yep. I mean, you have to be like talented to make that kind of stuff. We're looking to do things quickly, guys.
Yeah. All right. So Robin, like curly fries. Fabian's going sweet potato. Rodney, you're going potato wedges, and I think I'm going garlic. So I'm glad we cleared that up.
Garlic. That's nice.
Here's another thing. I appreciate what Shake Shack is trying to do, but I looked this up. If they're trying to clean up the environment, and again, it's a noble cause, I have some issues here. There's only 262 Shake Shacks. Would you like to know how many McDonald's there are?
265.
Somehow there's only 38,000 in the United States. So, but there's also 18,000 Burger Kings and 7,000 Wendy's. So if you run the math, Shake Shack isn't going to have any impact on the environment. You know?
How much? I have a question. How much is a McDonald's meal?
It's expensive.
An average meal at McDonald's.
My wife was bitching the other day because she got 2 Happy Meals and a large fry, and it was $19.
What?
I know.
Maybe Shake Shack's not that expensive.
In the Philippines, it would be like $5.
$5?
That is still expensive.
Yeah,
it is.
It's expensive, but it's.
You want me to tell you how to get it for free? I'm going to give you a hack here. You walk in and say Uber Eats. They're like right there. Thanks, guys. See you later now.
Fabian, in
I saw that on
Argentina, are
Instagram.
there a lot of you get a lot of fast food in Argentina? It's a very meat heavy country, isn't it?
It used to be, and actually remains pretty meat heavy. Although, so I try to spend winters here, and then summers there. I normally chase ice. I ice climb, backcountry ski, do a lot of that stuff, right? So I try to spend winter both ways. And since I keep a vegan diet, when I started to go back to Argentina, I didn't go back to Argentina for a long time. Yeah. My concern was that I wasn't going to find anything to eat. Some of the best vegan products are in Argentina.
Wow.
So it's beginning to change. But yeah, I mean, I grew up eating all kinds of barbecue. They are called asados.
Right.
And you eat basically everything in the cow. We used to we still have farms, and I grew up actually until I was 14 years old and I discovered girls. I used to spend 2 weeks in the farm. Well, 14.
We understand, yeah.
And the sheep, they're all very nice, but they don't do the job. Right. So anyway, so I would spend 2 weeks in the farm, 2 weeks in the city in Buenos Aires, and my father owned the school, so I could do whatever the hell I wanted. And every time we would go, a cow would get slaughtered, and we would have a barbecue for everybody in the farm, in the ranch, and there were these fantastic, couple of cows staked out, and chorizos and like the entrails, they clean them up. Kidneys.
Nothing gets wasted. Yeah.
Nothing got wasted. Everything was absolutely fantastic. And you know how in the United States, we marinate meat quite a bit. Part of, you put wraps and all that.
Of course.
Argentinian barbecue, you just put a little bit of kosher salt, and you're good to go.
Well, that's because you don't feed your animals like newspaper with chicken shit on it the way we do.
Cigarettes.
You don't factory farm to the point of absurdity the way we do in the United States.
Right.
Cows there don't smoke, Eric.
Our cows have Newports. Like, oh God. So listen, Fabian, we talked about this off air, but you got bit by the tick that makes you allergic to red meat. Like that for an Argentinian.
That must be torture.
Like a death sentence. That's right, because I'd cry. I feel like for you.
You know how you say that I am an interesting guy? So I always prefer fish over meat anytime.
Wow. Okay.
And so there are some Argentinian supermarkets in Los Angeles. So I used to get my meat from there. But every barbecue, and we would barbecue 3-4 times a week. I had 2 barbecues, one with charcoal, the other one with gas, during the week. And then normally every weekend we would have 20-30 people come over for barbecues at my house. It was like barbecue central. And I always had fish for me. Nobody wanted to eat the fish. Everybody wanted to eat the meat. Obviously, right? But I had salmon or something else for me. And so
it's worked out,
too, right?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it could be, I suppose. But I'm still going to shed a tear for you later in the show. All right, so look, we do want to talk about you. You're a Renaissance man, a very interesting guy. But speaking of eating weird shit, this is a nice segue, right? That's the next thing.
It's the perfect segue. So we're still talking about food. So the other day we actually briefly covered this. It's the topic of the one chip story. So social media is just so stupid to the point where stupid trends can get to the point where it causes loss of life. And I don't think something that causes loss of life and something that's this extreme should be readily made on the shelves of the 7-Eleven, which is where this kid got it from, and he died.
Yeah, so the story is a 14-year-old kid in Massachusetts actually did the one chip challenge, and it killed him. Now we're still pending autopsy results, so we're not sure it was the one chip that killed him, but he died after eating the one chip. So they're pulling it from shelves, which begs a question, a common theme on the show. 30,000 Americans are killed by gun violence every year. Nobody does a goddamn thing. One kid dies eating a chip. Get it off the fucking shelves. What's the problem?
I have a question. So you can't get a bag. There's just one?
There's just one, because here's the thing. So this is a couple of stories I have personal experiences with. I did a hot challenge like before it was a thing, before TikTok existed. Not that I'm on TikTok, but so we did a whole bunch of hot sauces blind. This is the one we bought to like break everybody's brain. This is 357. So this is 357,000 Scoville units. This had me seeing sounds, tastes, and colors. It was like licking Satan's asshole. I was delirious. Nothing could help. I was drinking milk. I had my head in the freezer. I was crying, snot running down my face. I was in pain. The next day, my asshole. It was the worst thing in the world. This is 357,000. This one chip it goes from 1.6 million to 2.2 million.
Whoa.
Okay, hang on a second. I don't know what this is.
You don't know what this is?
It's a potato chip.
New Doritos.
So it is a single chip that they put so much hot dust on that it is the equivalent of, I would say, 5 of these. And
5 bottles of this, though, right?
Well, just this in terms of Scoville units. So how many is 357 into 2 million? That's like 6 times. So
Yeah.
So it's so six times the potency of this. And I'm telling you, this is the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life.
How much is this chip? You've got me intrigued now. Where is this? Mexico?
No, you can get it. Well,
you can get it
on Amazon. So Shaquille O'Neal after the the NBA show, the greatest show on television. Shaq ate one of these and lost his fucking mind. Like, you have to watch people eat this. It's disgusting, but it's the hottest thing on the planet. You have to use a glove. They include a glove because you can't touch it with your skin. Crazy, huh?
Of course.
And
it's just logical that you put it in your mouth hole.
And the FDA approved this?
I don't know if it was FDA approved, but I know that they're shutting it down now.
I don't think this is the FDA. This is the food people, right? Or they handle that too?
FDA approves it.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that what the FDA is?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I thought they were an organization to help kill us. I'm confused.
that too.
I get them in the CIA confused. I'm sorry.
So the shit comes in this. This is a coffin. You open it up. There's a single chip in this little this container right here. You put a glove on, you eat it, and then you just suffer or die. In this 14-year-old's case,
I just shake my head, man.
I know. Well, in terms
Can
of
I tell you something though, Eric? I bet I could find some people from my old neighborhood. Used to be a guy actually where I went to school at. Used to ride his bicycle. His name was Cool Breeze. I guarantee you he could eat a bag of these because I used to say to myself all the time, if they got him, if he was in France, Lance would have been done.
Oh,
and this guy had a BMX bike. You don't need nothing fancy.
Okay. Well, listen, get Cool Breeze on the show. We should do a lunch challenge live on the Eric and Rodney show with Robin. I think Fabian's in.
Can you find him again?
Yeah. How about a cure cancer challenge or a end childhood hunger challenge? Why are we doing all this stupid, useless shit? You know what the Wright brothers did? They had a challenge, invent an airplane. These kids these days are just eating hot chips. Come on, Robin. Talk to your generation.
What about the plastic bag challenge? You remember that one?
Where you put, you tie a plastic bag around your head for 5 minutes? That was a good challenge.
And you see how long you can hold it for charity.
Yeah. You mean the David Carradine challenge?
Yeah, that's
right. And it's secure stupidity.
Yeah.
What a world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. The one chip challenge. Everybody go get yourself one. All right. It's almost Fabian time. What else do we got in the news? Oh, this is another story that's near and dear to my heart.
Is it?
No, not this one. Not this one. The next one.
Okay. So we're getting to a point where several countries are having problems with extremely low birth rates. Honestly, though, and this is going to sound bad, just a preface. If and when a country does reach this point where they're having low fertility, I'd say that they probably have done a bunch of other things right, at least. Because if you look at all the other countries that are overpopulating, it's most usually the less educated, most impoverished places, places that shouldn't be even having kids in the first place. Oof. But so
bold statements.
Making the list, we have Japan, South Korea, and Finland, and Italy, which have the lowest fertility rates, and about a fourth of their population is senior citizen.
Yeah, so Japan now is on the brink of failure, they're saying, because they have so many old people, not enough young people. Last year, only 800,000 Japanese babies were born. In the 70s, it was 2 million. So they're experiencing dramatic birth rate drops. Not as bad as South Korea, but now how we talk about how racist Asians are a lot because we have an Asian on the show and we can do this. Japan's on the brink of failure as a society, and they still won't let migrants in. That's how much they hate people coming in from other countries.
It's better when the Asian says it, Eric. Okay, go on.
You take my lines and now you
translate.
Say it's less racist.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
These 3 elderly people here.
They seem fine.
Sorry, Siri came to town. These 3 elderly people here look to be in incredible shape.
Well, this is the caveat to the story. I recently watched, and I think everyone should watch, Live to 100: Secrets of the Blue Zone. It's brand new docuseries on Netflix. I'm telling you, if anything in this documentary is true, we do not have to worry about Japanese old people. They're out gardening, they're doing squats, they have they're hanging out socially, they're running the town, they're babysitting. I mean, if you live to 100 and you're doing it correctly, you can continue to be a contributing member of society. The problem is the United States, our old people, they're not doing this. We're just wheeling them in front of windows and hoping they die. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that's one statistic that they're not really taking into consideration with the story, is that the fact that people just live longer there because things work.
Well, they eat healthier, they exercise, they have social lives. They do a lot of stuff that we don't do. They're not going to Shake Shack all the time and bitching about the quality of the French fries.
They don't have two elderly people arguing who's going to run the country into the ground.
They don't have two 80-year-olds. Our 80-year-olds are in power and they're having strokes when they're giving speeches. These guys are lifting weights together.
One opposite cheeseburger away from a heart attack, and the other one doesn't know what day it is.
Exactly. And these are the leaders of our country. So I think we have bigger issues than Japan.
Don't get me going with that.
I would love to. I kind of know where you stand.
We love the controversy.
Fabian,
but did I say anything that was wrong?
No.
Literally.
I'm 100% with you. So I am I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican, and I think that Washington said don't split into parties because it's going to be problematic, right? That is one of the things that George Washington said. We went ahead and did it anyway, right?
Of course we did.
Screw it. But the problem is that since JFK, and JFK, in my opinion, was a horrible president. Johnson was a much better president. I mean, Johnson is the one that actually gave us civil rights at the end of the day. JFK had zero intention on the civil rights side of things. But anyway, so since then, the center has very quickly and slowly, but in the last few years, very quickly, the center has disappeared, right? So now you have these two political parties that are run by lobbyists, right? And they have absolutely no intention in governing for us. And not only that, they don't even follow the Constitution. So if I have to declare for a political party, I would be a constitutionalist. Right? Because the Constitution of the United States is the best constitution in the world, only second to the Magna Carta, right? And it's fantastic. And if you read it, I mean, it just makes my blood boil, right? I mean, it's awesome. And the problem is that, so our leaders don't follow the Constitution. What do you expect everybody else to do, right? The rest of the institutions. So we talk about police and, that they're bad, they're good, whatever. The problem with police is that they're not following the Constitution either, right? And you need police. You have no problem with police. I had, good relationship with the police and all that. But at the end of the day, they don't follow the Constitution either. So, if you want to talk politics, we can spend the next 10 years, talking politics with me.
I'd like to. We should do that. We should have a podcast that goes on for 10 years. We might get some ratings. But I'm less of it. I think the Constitution's fine. I think before we get we need to eliminate lobbying. Lobbying is, as soon as that entered the system, throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's disgusting. The statistic says something like 95% of candidates that spend the most money win the election. So not only are we a democracy, we're not a democracy. We're a republic. We're not a republic. We're a fucking oligarchy. Right? Because if you could just buy politicians and then you go, let's get rid of lobbying. But the people that benefit directly from lobbying are those who would have to make the change. And why would anybody who benefits directly from a system make a change for somebody else? It's never going to happen. So I think the point is we're fucked. All right, but let's listen, we're going to get to your opinions, but let's do the last two news stories real quick.
I was going to say careful. You're beginning to sound radical, Eric.
I'm radicalized. Well, I've been drinking since 5.
Yep. Okay, so this story kind of sounds like it should have come out of Florida, but it actually came from Australia, which I think is pretty much if Florida was a continent.
Good day, mate.
It's the Florida of the world.
It is. Okay, so this is his first-time father, and he's suing the hospital because they encouraged and permitted him to watch his wife's C-section. According to the guy, he now has a psychotic illness because he saw his wife's blood and organs. But so I'd be more sympathetic, but then I saw that he's seeking 1 billion Australian dollars. So I mean, it's out
Is this
of the way.
Fox News?
Yes, it's Fox News, but I got to tell you, this is the first Fox News story I've ever agree with. $1 million is not enough because I saw my wife having a C-section. It is fucking hell. It is a war zone. No one should ever. Oh,
it's okay. $1 billion.
I want 10 billion for what they put me through. Me and this guy are joining forces. They pretend whoever drew this is so full of shit. It's way more complicated than this. I walked in and it was like a fucking MASH unit. Like here's the thing with the C-section. I don't know if you guys, Robin and Rodney, you don't have children. Fabian, I'll ask you in a second.
Both my kids were C-sections.
Okay, so you get it. I don't know if you were in the room, but you're here talking to her head, and this is operating normally. Behind this curtain is fucking Vietnam. I walked in and they go, don't look to the right. Of course I'm going to look to the right. You know those shoe racks? The shoe racks that like you put on the back of doors, they have one of those full of bloody gauze. There's like spleens and liver and heart, like in metal bowls. Everyone's covered in blood. It's a fucking nightmare, but you're talking to her like nothing's going on. It's so weird. My wife deserves $1 billion. I know. I want an extra $1 billion for giving her 2 perfect children.
I just feel like if you're the man in that situation and the wife is giving birth to the child, you just suck it up. You're a man.
Nope. That sounds like someone who's never seen your wife's fucking.
Robin hasn't seen much.
Fair agreement. Yes, I'm talking out of my ass.
Yeah, Fabian. So what did you see in there? Did you see what I saw?
Yeah, but I don't get too excited about blood and stuff like that. To me, it was like, oh, cool.
Oh, if I see my own blood, I get queasy. Let alone.
Yeah, I can't even handle my own stuff. I get a little shooketh when I have to clean up the dog spew.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so bad. And here's the thing, too. So I live in Massachusetts. I think we have the best hospitals in the country, statistically speaking. My first son was born in Mass General. They kept me the fuck out of the room. They're like, we're going in. We'll see you in 5 minutes. They came back out. Baby. Oh, this is great. This is how babies are made. The second one I did Beth Israel, which is still like a top 5 hospital in the country. They didn't give a fuck. They walked me right in. They were like, just don't look over there. What do you think I'm going to do? And now I'm traumatized for the rest of my life.
Can you not close your eyes?
Yeah, but when you know that there's something secret, you got to take a look.
You know what it is?
We were talking about taboo in the green room, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like a wreck, right? You're like, why are all these people stopping? Why are you stopping? Why are you stopping? You get up to it and you're like, oh my God, is that his head?
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
Okay. We've gone to like even the cutting the cord. I'm like, that's fucking surgery. Why are you asking me to cut cords? You cut the cord. I'm paying you. I just threw my pen. But it's like the pilot never goes, you want to fly it for a little while? No, you fucking fly it. What are you doing?
Goes back there. Hey, Eric. They need you up front.
You want to give it a try? You want to get involved in this highly stressful situation? So my mother's chiming in, but I know this about my mother. She's one of 11. And my grandfather used to go bowling every time he had a kid. The bowling alley would receive the call from the hospital. They go, hey, it's a boy. You go, all right, let me just finish this frame. I'll be right over. That's how it should be done. I don't want to be in the fucking room. What is wrong with people?
Are any of them named Frame Strike?
Yeah. A split, a 7-10 split. That's my uncle's 7-10 split.
You're 7, he's 10?
Yeah. They were twins. It was nice. Oh. Yeah. All right, one more before Fabian. What do we got?
Yep. Last one. So this one would have been considered witchcraft a few hundred years ago. So the story is about scientists and doctors taking it a little bit too far, and they're replicating artificial wombs. So they've successfully done it on lambs and pigs, and they've produced healthy offspring. Now they want to begin testing on human babies. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of religious people that are going to be ready to jump at this because, of course, it's blasphemous. But yeah, take a look for yourselves.
So this is a nationwide thing that doctors across the world are doing. So Japan, there's a lot in this article. Japan was able to keep a lamb alive, I think, for something like 28 days, but then a technical issue resulted in brain damage. So what I'm telling you is that we're close, but we're not that close.
Oh, it wasn't successful. Okay, I thought it was.
Well, the longest a lamb has been kept alive in a sterilized bag full of liquids and tubes is 28 days. Now, this is for premature babies. 10% of babies in the United States are born prematurely, but we're talking about like extremely premature at this case. Like only 1% of babies would be eligible for this kind of technology at this point. But this goes into the larger thing. Once we can grow babies in bags, well, we're going to have some fucking problems because people are going to want AI generated, genetically engineered babies grown in bags. And I just can't imagine that's going to be good for the future of humanity. It's coming. The toothpaste is out of the tube, but I don't know.
Microwavable baby.
Microwavable babies, just 3 minutes on high, and you got yourself a perfect baby. Fabian, you seem to have opinions on AI and stuff. Does this scare you that we can start to grow babies in bags?
It doesn't scare me. I don't know that is what we want, but yeah, I mean, it's coming.
Well, the same like with CRISPR. As soon as you could do, I want a 6'5", blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby, and it's possible, then we're going to do it. Like there's no, a morality.
Remember the movie? Remember the movie Gattaca?
Yeah, Gattaca. Yeah.
Right. So
that was a great movie, by the way. I love that movie. I really do. Ethan Hawke was incredible.
Ethan Hawke. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
National treasure.
Ethan Hawke, yeah, he's a good actor.
Ethan Hawke is a national treasure, yeah.
And Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman. Ooh, Pulp Fiction.
National treasure. Another national treasure. See what I'm saying about the movie? It's amazing.
Yes. Speaking of national treasures, I'm going to go so far as to say that Fabian could become a national treasure because I'm going to go through. Okay, we asked. I have a lot on him because again, I did a deep dive. Just so you know, Fabian has a PhD in cognitive neuroscience, right? Cognitive neuroscience. We asked you about your favorite French fries. So listen, this is a dumb show, and I get it. But not only do you have a PhD in cognitive neuroscience, you were also in a fucking metal band, which is right.
What?
You played at the House of Metal.
Nice.
Yep.
Not only that, but you really used to look the part because look at that gorgeous beard and it's all gone away. So let's start. Listen, I know you've done a lot. You've been a lot. You were in a fucking metal band. Can we start there? Can you talk about your journey as a member of Malignant, which is a great name, by the way.
That's a good name.
Epic way to start. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to us about your music, man.
I'm sorry?
Can you talk to us a little bit about the music, the metal?
Yeah, so the music, so I went to a conservatory as a kid, right? So I know music theory and all that, and I actually like classical music quite a bit, and a lot of the prog metal today is rooted in classical music, right? So grab any piece of Mozart or Beethoven, distorted and accelerated, played faster, and you have mostly prog metal. So I was working at a company called Internet Brands down in El Segundo, and it's a weird company. So I decided to start a jam session with anybody that wanted to come, right?
Yeah.
So, first, about 30 people came, right? Then 20 people. Finally, only 3 of us kind of kept on coming. So we decided to start a band. And first it used to be called 16th of Silence, which is a play on music theory, right? Okay. It's a silence. And anyway, so one time we are with the guy that was my drummer at the time, we are at the bar getting hammered. And he goes, that name that we have is a horrible name. Nobody gets it. He got it because he's a musician. He understands the things. So let's call ourselves Malignant. And we were like, dude, Malignant.
Yeah, that is a metal name. That's really good.
That is a metal name. Yeah, and and we basically changed the name to Malignant. And most of the music, if you listen to it, if you slow it down and clean it up, a lot of it is classical music.
I think, speaking of your sweatshirt, music sounds a lot different on mushrooms. I would say you'd have to be pretty fucked up on mushrooms to listen to heavy metal and go, you know what, Beethoven. You know what I mean? I think you got to get into
now that he explains it that way, it makes sense. Right?
You have to teach me music theory. You got to sit me down because I just think it sounds like metal. I'm not anti-metal, believe me, but I've never drawn the connection.
Metal isn't everyone's cup of tea, but can you think, Fabian, of like a good gateway metal band for someone who's not so into it to like get into it eventually?
Yeah, like
Led Zeppelin.
Who is it?
Led Zeppelin's considered
Led
metal.
Zeppelin.
Robin's never heard of these guys.
Yeah, that's
I have.
Zeppelin's a gateway drug into all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Satanism. Remember that when they were like, these guys are going to take you to Satan? And I was like, how do we get there? They're going to take us?
Something a little bit more modern, maybe Def Leppard or Black Sabbath, right? Black Sabbath is I don't know that Black Sabbath is metal. Is like super heavy rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean those are bands that will get you there.
I just read I'm not huge into Black Sabbath, but I do love music biographies, and I just read Geezer Butler. He's the bassist, I believe, for Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
They coined the term heavy metal like Black Sabbath did because a reviewer of their first album said it sounds like heavy metal banging together, as in it sucks. Yeah. But there you go.
Yeah, their first album didn't do very well on the reviews, but it sold like cupcakes.
Oh yeah, before that, you didn't. If you were gonna like worship Satan, you didn't have a soundtrack. But then all of a sudden, they come out with an album. You're like, oh, this is.
Well, no, hang on a second. You had to play. I think that the White Album backwards.
Oh, White Album backwards. Yeah, you can do that if you're gonna worship Satan. But who has the time to play anything backwards? That's the one that said Paul is dead.
That seems like a lot of work.
Paul is dead.
It turns out he still ain't dead. Led Zeppelin is pretty blues. I think it's certainly rooted in the blues.
Yeah.
You don't think devil worship?
Yeah, the guy that. Wow, I was going to say Robert Johnson, the guy that invented the blues, sold his soul to Satan, is what they said for the power of the blues. Okay, so you're in a heavy metal band, but it doesn't stop there. Listen, you got a lot of shit going on because you worked at NBC, Disney Imagineering, NASA. Like, holy shit! You want to talk about any of those three? I mean, those are pretty good. It's no being on the Eric and Rodney show, but
so NASA was an interesting place. So when I worked there in 96, I think, 1996, 97. And it was very disappointing, to be frank. So I had to deal with the what is called the common software and the simple software. And these are packages used to control satellites that go around Earth, right? Oh. The problem that we had is that satellites would just disappear.
Seems like the problem NASA would have solved, but okay.
They would be gone, right? That you couldn't get any telemetry, you don't communicate with them, and then 2 weeks later they will show up. And there was a problem in the software where different pieces didn't communicate because the guy that wrote the simple software, the guy that wrote the common software that sat on top of the simple software didn't guide the guy that wrote the simple software, right? So there was some political bullshit going on there. And there was basically the communication would break down, and that is how we lost satellites. So I kind of fixed that.
Wait. You kind of fixed NASA's losing satellite problem? Yeah, that seems like sort of a big deal. Is that not a big deal? Because I can't imagine satellites are
that sounds like they're
going to be pretty expensive. You must have saved us quite a few dollars, I would imagine.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you have to understand that not all of the satellites experience the same problem, right? So there are some critical satellites, both for communications and military, and those were running on a different software. But some of like the weather satellites, things that they had redundancy and they were not that interesting, if you will.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that had problems.
So someone would lose a satellite, go, Fabian, fucking, can you find this thing? And then come in.
No, it's basically
it's wonderful.
It was all the telemetry, software, collecting data from the satellite and displaying it. So I've been doing data since about 96, 97.
Wow.
People talk about data today, like, data. And I'm like,
yeah, they don't know what data is.
Yeah,
well, we consider data leads, emails.
Yeah. You were, wow. So I love that you got a job at NASA and were immediately disappointed because you were in charge of finding lost satellites. And that's
no, but the thing is that, if you went to some of the sites where we were still in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, we were still using 60s and 70s technology.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah. And that was super disappointing.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
We've heard the same thing about Russia in the Ukraine war.
Yeah, they're using World War II technology.
Relics.
Since you were did you are there aliens? Can you clear this alien thing up? Because we're getting a lot of teasers lately. In Mexico, they have some paper mache alien. We heard yesterday that they found some life on a planet 120 light years away. They walk around NASA. Is it like Men in Black? Is it like the bar scene at Star Wars? What's going on at NASA? Nothing?
No, not that I know.
They didn't tell
No,
you.
but think about it, right? I mean, there has to be life in other planets. The question is, are they humanoid or not?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you want to talk seriously about aliens, right? So there are a couple of problems. So do I think that people from other planets or beings from other planets have visited us? Yes. I think that they have, and they continue, and they will. I know that, so think about Star Trek. A lot of the stuff that Star Trek over the years has put forth has become reality, right?
Yeah.
The communicators,
communicators are like iPhones, like
and a lot of the things, right? So Roddenberry actually had a very interesting vision of what the future looks like, and a lot of the social problems that that the shows express are becoming a reality, right? I don't know if it is a self-fulfilling prophecy or not. So if you look at that and you take a little bit of a leap, you can think that there are other civilizations around the universe that have the capability of visiting planets that are light years away, right? Until recently, we thought that traveling faster than the speed or even close to the speed of light was impossible. But recently, and this is a discussion that we have with my kid on a regular basis, they have been able to move particles faster than the speed of light. So it's theoretically possible to develop propulsion that travels faster than the speed of light. So yeah, I think so. The question is it going to look like us, or is it going to look like, the bug eye type of beings? And to be frank, I don't know.
What scares me is that if we make first encounter, it means we're smarter, and that's a problem. Because look how dumb we are. Like, just in general, if humans are the smartest things in the universe, we are fucked.
Right. Have any of you guys seen the show Ancient Aliens on History?
No.
Yeah, no. I have. It's crazy.
It's
pretty bizarre. His hair's like crazy.
Oh, is that the aliens guy? Is that from
that's the aliens guy.
Oh,
the other question I have too, though, is that I feel like we could find out if there was life there and speed this whole project up if we found proof of some oil. If we found oil up there, we will get some freedom to the aliens.
So if KB-18 has oil, we need to bring some freedom over there. We're going to get our asses. We're going to figure out.
Us and the IMF will be on the first plane out trying to figure out how to help these people.
But you
get them some freedom.
We'll
send the Marines.
Send the Marines because, well, we'll know they have oil, but we're going to go weapons of mass destruction in space. Can you imagine how bad they are? Also, they're not white. We're like, let's go. So you say, Fabian, that you're not politically affiliated, but I wanted to do this thing where you are sort of a prolific commenter in LinkedIn, which was endlessly entertaining last night. It seems like you're trying to pick fights, which I like that about you, but nobody will engage because they're scared, and they should be because you have a PhD. Anyway, can we go after?
I'm not sure they're as smart as you are, so that could be the reason.
No, they're definitely not as smart. So this was a comment you had. So Germany's far-right party is more popular than ever and more extreme. You say it's not just the elites. There's a concerted effort to not properly educate people and in the process destroy the middle class. An uneducated population is easier to convince and control. Sad. I agree with you, but this skews. See, I think if you're an extreme on the right, you're probably not that smart. And this is essentially what you're saying, and I agree with you, but it's a bold statement because LinkedIn seems to be, I would say, skews Republican. So you want to talk about this? Do you think the dumber the population is, the more likely they're willing to believe in fascism?
Honestly, Fabian's comment in a nutshell is the Philippines.
Oh, okay. So you're uneducated and you like theocracies. Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I think Fabian's comment is most third world countries, right? Being honestly, like I think he's right.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But in the United States too, right? So the problem is that uneducated masses are easier to control than if you are educated, because if you are educated, you have opinions and you develop your own views, whether they are local views or world views. So if you don't educate, or if you keep education to the lower common denominator. So I am against that, no kid left behind, right? What that should mean is that they are held back and you work with them to bring them forth, not that you pass them, right? They don't know how to add two numbers together and you pass them anyway. What the hell is that, right? So the more you have an educated country, population, the more advances you're going to make the fastest. Look at the United States between the 1900s and the 1970s. The United States was the leader on absolutely everything. But since the 70s, our education has gotten down the drain. And now you have, countries in the middle of nowhere that are catching up to the United States.
It's disturbing too. And I think, man, I think we could talk about this for 10 years too. I think there's a little bit of xenophobia in this too, because we always think we do the right thing, but we know the Netherlands goes to school for 4 hours a day, has outlawed homework, and they whip our ass on standardized tests. We know the way the Asians teach math makes them more prone to being better at it. So we know there's better systems out there. We choose not to do it. I think the American education system was meant to produce factory workers because we needed them when it was coming up. And I think it's a bulimic education system where we gorge ourselves, purge it all over a test, and nothing is retained. So I think there's a lot of issues. And I think Vonnegut famously said the benefit of a liberal arts degree is that it teaches you how to think. And I think that keeps you from falling in love with fascism, if you know how to think. But I don't know we're teaching our kids how to think. I think we're giving them things to rotely memorize facts and statistics and numbers, but that's not teaching them how to think. It's teaching them how to remember things. And I'm not sure that's the way to go.
I think that the fear that government has or people at the top have is that if you have an educated population, they're going to tend to socialism. And actually, that is absolutely a fallacy. The more educated a population you have, the more they're going to tend to capitalism.
I would agree. Yeah, I'm a liberal capitalist. I love money. Oh boy, do I love money. Can't get enough of it. Now, I think to prove your point, you made a comment on somebody with Ben Shapiro. You said this guy is such a disgrace to humanity. Which I feel like you're obviously trying to bait somebody here. Nobody took the bait, but he is
I took the bait. No, I do think that this guy is he's a xenophobe. He is a homophobe. He's every single thing that is wrong with people.
No, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This is the leader of the incels, you said, Eric?
This is the leader of the incels. He's king of the incels.
Is it the incels or the imbeciles? I get confused.
It's
very confusing.
It's interchangeable in some situations.
It's not mutually exclusive, right?
I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
Okay.
His boy Tucker. Russell Brand now is on that side of things. It's crazy.
Well, Russell Brand actually has recently, I don't know if you heard, he's got some troubles. 4 ladies came out, or 5. Actually, I think it's quite a few now have come out and said that he did bad stuff.
I've heard that, but he says the mainstream media is just doing that because he constantly attacks them. So who knows?
They always come out at the same time, but yeah.
I got to be honest with you. Who's he? Is he important now?
Russell Brand?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying what he did was. I'm not saying he didn't do it. What I'm saying though is that I feel like he's not even. Is he in movies? He's irrelevant. What's he doing now?
No, well, I read the article.
Katy Perry, and then.
Yeah, they said he used to be an A-list comedian, and now he's king of the incels, along with Shapiro, Tucker Carlson.
I had forgotten about him until they said that he had been touching girls.
Yeah, I had forgotten about him too.
Everyone
for a while. And,
he did Sarah Marshall, married Katy Perry, and then I don't know what happened. I thought they were still married. Apparently,
they always say go woke, go broke, but that's fundamentally not true because every time you go to the far right, you're kicked off normal TV and you end up on the fucking internet. We have an internet show just the way that Shapiro has an internet show and Russell Brand has There's no barrier to entry here. You just need a fucking computer. Okay, let's lighten things up because you do have an opinion on Hollywood, which I think was pretty funny. So, Barbenheimer was a big thing, right? Everyone went out, but you said there's nothing that'll save cinema. It's a slow-paced downward death with momentary local peaks. It has to change. You haven't seen the movies, but you will when they come on VO on demand. I'll say just anecdotally, I used to hate going to theaters. The seats were small. You couldn't drink beer. It was loud and obnoxious. I don't know if you've been to a movie theater lately. It's fucking delightful. You get to pick your seat. They serve beer. The shits recline. Oh, it's delightful. So, God, I hope that cinema keeps going because that's where I see all the Marvel movies. But you think it's going to die?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at content that is being produced by Hollywood, nobody goes to see them anymore, right? I mean, you have a couple of movies. So last year, Maverick saved Hollywood, right?
Maverick was huge.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I actually, since I posted that, I saw Barbie.
How was it?
I think fantastic movie. It's great. But I saw it at home in my huge screen, right? Drinking sake and whiskey with my wife.
Oh, my man. I love whiskey.
That sounds right.
Japanese whiskey.
You know what? I wasn't huge on it, but I've had some lately that have like it used to be too dry for me, but I think they're coming out. It's a little wetter. I don't know what the opposite.
Eric is a professional whiskey drinker, just so you're aware.
Sure am. Yes.
Japanese whiskey. I have some Japanese whiskey that will knock your socks off.
Let's go, baby. I'm on my next flight to California.
So just a little bit of trivia. So everybody thinks that the Japanese copied the Scottish, right? Actually, Japan and Scotland have been making whiskey almost as long as each other.
Really?
And they came up to the same type of drink independent of each other.
Wow.
So the tradition of Japanese whiskey is just as long as Scottish whiskey.
No shit.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and there is fantastic whiskey, and I love Scottish whiskey, man. You know,
how do you feel about bourbon? You like bourbon? Oh, all right. Well, then I'm not coming to California. I think
bourbon is horse piss, man. It's too sweet.
Well, evidently I like horse piss. Tastes like bourbon. This whole time I've been spending money on bourbon. I could have been drinking horse piss. Oh, son of a bitch.
Could have gotten it for free.
It would have been so exactly. You know how much money I spent on bourbon? I would imagine horse piss is pretty cheap. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't like bourbon. For me, it's too sweet for me.
No, well, I was on your team right now. But go ahead.
Going back to the movies, yeah, I mean, it's the future of movies is not in theater, right? And they're too expensive. And yes, there are some experiences that are interesting, but in general, even before the pandemic, attendance, was beginning to decline. Yeah. And the stats is that they were making more money year over year, but there were two elements that contribute to that. Number one is ticket prices went up, right? Yep. So and during the blockbusters, people attended more, but in general, movies in general, the attendance kept on going down. Yeah. And it's sad, right? But you have other elements, going on. So VOD, I think it's fantastic. I think that is the future of content. And not only that, games, I think that is the next, well, it's not the next, it's already there, but the more you figure out how to put short format content in games, the better off you're going to do. And you have the entertainment elements that come with games and with short format content, like, stuff in, whether it is Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. That is what the future of entertainment really looks like. And then you're going to have indie movies or big productions that are going to be shown mostly in, like, Prime or Disney Plus or whatever.
You were obviously right. You're 100% right. I just think it's sad. So multifactorial, right? So to Rob's point, everything that's in the theater now has to be a blockbuster. It has to be Marvel or Disney, which are the same thing. It has to be this gigantic thing. People often say that, like, Shawshank wouldn't be in the theaters today. Tombstone wouldn't be in the theaters today. Pulp Fiction might not be in the theaters. Anything Miramax did probably wouldn't make it the theaters because it wouldn't make any money. That's sad. The other thing that's sad is we've done stories on the epidemic of male loneliness, and it's not exactly correlated, but it is, because we don't leave the fucking house anymore. So video on demand is great and games are great, but if everyone's like, I'm lonely, I'm not hanging out with other people, well, we don't have malls to go to anymore. No one's going to movie theaters anymore. Your only options are to be a weirdo incel watching fucking Barbie by yourself, not you, these Ben Shapiro's. But you know what I mean? Like, it's sad.
Or playing pickleball.
Or, well, because you're doing it.
But I disagree with you. I don't think that while on the surface, the theater experience is a communal experience, you're all either going by yourself or you're going with your wife or your kid or, a small group of people. And they help with everybody around you, right?
Yeah,
And if somebody is making noise when you are attentive to a part of the movie, you go, shh.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've always thought movies are a horrible date. Like people go, do you want to go to the movies? Why? So we can sit in silence next to each other for 2 hours? I mean, that doesn't really, I guess you could talk about the movie afterwards, but yeah, you're right. It's not really communal. I guess I'm sad about the death of all these communal experiences as a whole, because everything we used to do in crowds, we now do alone. And people are crying about it, so.
Yeah, but I think that, part of it is, so I was thinking about this yesterday, and it has to do with progress, right? There is no way of stopping progress. I'm thinking about the everything that has to do with AI and some of the strikes going on in Hollywood and the auto workers union and all of that stuff. And AI, while may not be at the center, is one of the topics that these folks are complaining against, right? That AI is taking over whatever they do.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the challenge is that we don't want to embrace progress, right? Yeah. And there is no stopping progress. Progress is going to outpace you, whether you want it or not. Whether we stop today, everything, progress is going to continue. So either you embrace it or you become obsolete. Yeah. That's really the bottom line. So the problem is that sometimes progress breaks things before they get better. So I think that right now we are in that state where progress is breaking some of our social structures. But then, hopefully at the other end, we come up with stronger social structures than we went in.
That's
an eye-opening statement.
Well,
not a lot of people
would look at it that way. People are doing things, there is a lot of isolation going on, those type of things. Personally, I have always been a loner, so it doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, dude, this is my sauce, right? Yeah. But I see, like my kids, they are actually beginning to come on the other side. And they're very social, but they are very social not in the things that you and I may think of traditionally being social. They have tons of friends and they're on the internet and they spend tons of time and they watch movies together, but they are in different places and they have friends all over the world. So when you're talking about xenophobia, for example, right? Part of the problem with xenophobia, so let's talk about xenophobia is horrible, no matter how you look at it. But think in terms of the start of xenophobia comes from geographic isolation, right? And the moment that you meet somebody that is from a different region, you have a problem, right? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. My kids, for them, xenophobia is not a word that they even know the meaning of it, right? I mean, they obviously they do. They're super smart and intelligent and very well read, but they have friends all over the world. So for them, like, whether you're white, yellow, black, Jewish, Christian, atheist, what they just like, whatever,
As long as you're not a Republican, right? We can all agree on that. As long as you're not a Republican.
they have some friends that are actually on the far right, man.
Yeah, me too. They're fun to argue with. And listen, I know some people don't like progress, but tennis has progressed into pickleball, and Rodney is he's all in on this. So progress is not always
Viva la pickleball, right? I always say.
Yeah, Fabian, do you ever play pickleball?
No.
You're gonna get into it though.
You will today. You'll see.
Yeah. You were mentioned. We only have a minute and a half left. You've been a great guest. We love when people pontificate and when they engage. And you were very pontification-ish as you pontificated, and you were very engaging. So before you go, and I don't want you to go, but I assume you have to because this does a hard cutoff for an hour. You want to talk about FESSEX? Sorry, FESSEX.
So FESSEX. So this is where I do my pitch. This is a boutique consulting firm. We focus on data strategy, artificial intelligence. Think about the challenges that e-commerce companies have, for example, right? They have three main challenges: churn, conversion, and user acquisition. So the less your churn is, the more money you make. So we can build models that can predict who is going to churn over the next month. So if you know who is going to churn, then you can do retention campaigns. And keeping a consumer is cheaper and easier than getting new ones. Conversion is the same, is the contrapositive of churn. So you have a lot of people browsing, but they are not buying anything. They're not converting. So we can predict who is going to convert, and then basically we experiment to figure out how to get them to convert. And user acquisition really has to do with optimizing your lifetime value through the channels that you are using to bring those users in, your consumers in. And obviously we do product optimization, we do a bunch of other things, but those are the main things that we can help immediately companies do. And you're going to talk about big data, with all of infrastructure. Again, I've been doing big data, the stuff at NASA, we were talking about petabytes back in.
I was going to say, if a guy could find satellites, he can certainly help you, right? That's the All right, so we do have to go. I think we've already been cut off on LinkedIn, but Fabian, thank you very much for being here. You were a great guest.
Thank you, Fabian.
I'll let you go spend 5 days in the mountains. Watch over those. So do me a favor, stick around for 5 minutes in the green room. But goodbye, America. We'll see you tomorrow.